That is, the profound exploration of value. We're asking one massive, fundamental question. What truly defines your worth? We spend so much of our lives chasing validation, wealth, and status, but what if the very way we measure our value is completely backwards? We're going to explore some incredibly fascinating insights from a serial entrepreneur and mindset coach who has weathered multiple business failures, totally rebuilt his life, and realized that human value actually has very little to do with what's currently sitting in your bank account. Get ready, because we are about to completely redefine your worth. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to hit 5 key areas: the illusion of value, defining your true worth, building an unshakable core, making value transferable, and finally, the power of choice. Let's get right into it.
All right, part 1, the illusion of value.
We've got to start by busting a massive myth that almost all of us fall for. Society constantly tells us that money equals a person's fundamental worth. It's like this ultimate scorecard, right? But it completely distorts how we view ourselves and our time. To break this illusion, think about this. Imagine you need to travel from Taipei in the north all the way down to Kaohsiung in the south. If you have absolutely unlimited money, how do you get there? You're taking the fastest route possible, right? Maybe even chartering a private helicopter. Why? Because you want to save your time. But what if you have absolutely zero money? You're forced to take the absolute slowest route, walking, hitchhiking, maybe catching a really slow local train. You see, when you lack money, you end up freely trading away something infinitely more precious. You literally trade your time. You trade your lifespan.
And that right there is the trap. We trade our time because, well, time feels free. But it's absolutely not. Time is your most precious, finite asset. Money? Money is literally just a convenient tool for exchange and nothing more. Highly successful people get this on a fundamental level. Once you realize that money is just utility and time is your actual currency, you completely stop letting your bank balance dictate your intrinsic worth. Moving right along to section 2, defining your true worth. Okay, so if we take money off the table as the ultimate scorecard, we really have to ask ourselves, who actually determines your true value? Are you letting your boss decide it? Your paycheck? Maybe your peers? If you're constantly waiting for external forces to tell you what your existence is worth, you are always going to be at their mercy. To break free from that, you need to use what's called logic scissors. Basically, you have to mentally sever 2 totally different concepts: your self-perceived value, what you deeply know you're intrinsically worth, and your externally perceived value, which is just what the outside world is willing to pay you today. Those 2 things are completely disconnected. Think about a brilliant entrepreneur on day 1 of a startup. If they waited for the market to validate their worth before they built anything, they'd never even start. You have to know you are valuable from day 1, totally independent of any external applause. Now, obviously, knowing your internal worth is just the starting point. To actually bridge the gap between that internal worth and real-world external success, you have to master the 5 gaps. These are the exact differences between people who make it and people who don't. First up is the value gap, what you find valuable versus what others do. Then, the knowledge gap, literally just the raw information you hold. Third is the cognition gap, how you actually process and understand that information. Fourth is the execution gap, getting out there and actually doing the work. And finally, the perception gap, how deeply you empathize and read situations compared to others. Closing these gaps is exactly how you pull your internal worth out into the real world. All right, part 3, the unshakable core.
So once you've firmly established your internal worth, you've got a brand new challenge: protecting it. This is where your unshakable core values come into play. Those deeply held principles that absolutely cannot be altered, compromised, or bought, no matter how much money is on the table. Top-tier individuals and elite networks, they actively seek out people whose values are absolute. They don't just want a smart partner, they want someone who is fundamentally solid to the core.
Let's look at a pretty wild, visceral scenario to really drive this home. Imagine someone is offered $5,000 to betray a friend, say, sending them into a super dangerous situation in Cambodia. Most people, they'd instantly say, no way, that's horrific. But what if that exact same offer suddenly jumps to $200,000? For a lot of people, the narrative suddenly shifts. They start rationalizing, asking, well, how dangerous is it exactly? This perfectly shows just how easily people's quote-unquote values shift when the price tag gets high enough. True integrity, having a line you will never cross, whether the offer is $5,000 or $5 million, is incredibly rare. And honestly, that is exactly why having unshakable values is the ultimate prerequisite for entering truly high-level circles. If a highly successful leader brings you into their inner circle, they know they can teach you skills, they can give you knowledge,
But if your morals can be bought by the highest bidder, you're just a massive liability to them. Your unshakable core values are your ultimate anchor of self-worth. Moving right into section 4, making value transferable. Okay, so you've got the internal worth and you've got the unshakable values. Now we have to talk about execution. Because here's the thing. Having immense internal value is practically useless to the rest of the world if you can't scale it and share it. Think of it like this. You live in your house, right? You know exactly where your bathroom light switch is. You can walk in there pitch black and just hit it. But when a guest comes over and they're stumbling around in the dark, can you actually teach them how to find it? It's one thing to figure out a solution for yourself through personal trial and error. It is a completely different skill to make that abstract process tangible and usable for somebody else. So you have to break it down logically. Step 1, identify the result, which is getting the light on. Step 2, trigger the action. But step 3 is where the real magic happens, making it transferable. You actually have to build a system or a super clear set of instructions so someone else, someone who hasn't spent years stumbling around in your dark room, can easily reproduce your success. This is the exact blueprint for generating true wealth. The most successful entrepreneurs and mindset coaches out there don't just sit on good ideas. They achieve incredible success because they take their hard-learned lessons, all that painful trial and error, and they figure out how to efficiently hand those systems over to others. The second you can transfer your value to help someone else solve their problems without them having to suffer the way you did, boom, your worth in the marketplace becomes absolutely exponential. And that brings us to our final section, the power of choice. This right here ties the whole framework together, because at the end of the day, we are putting the ultimate responsibility exactly where it belongs, right back into your hands. Listen, no matter what external circumstances you are dealing with, no matter how many times a business has failed, or what society says you're currently worth on paper, you always have the power to decide. Even if you step outside right now and get into a car crash, you have the absolute power to choose exactly how you react to it. Your reaction, your mindset, and your self-worth, that is entirely your choice. Today, that money is literally just a tool. We've learned that your internal worth is totally disconnected from external pricing, that true core values cannot be bought, and that scaling your value is all about making it transferable to the people around you. But honestly, none of this means a thing unless you make a choice. Stop waiting for external validation, guys. Stop waiting for some arbitrary number in a bank account to suddenly tell you that you matter. Your value is your choice. As we wrap up this 决定价值这个探讨, this exploration of value, what are you going to decide today? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this empowers you to go out there and boldly define your own worth from this moment forward.